Why are people flocking out of the USA?
Rising cost of living, violent crime, and political tension.
If these issues or others have you thinking it's time to leave the good old US of A, we're going to break down how to leave the USA quickly. I'm Roddy, this is Landy, and with our son Louis, we moved to Querétaro, Mexico in 2021. In our videos, we help people who may be thinking about moving to Mexico and share our life living abroad. Stay tuned to future videos. We'll go into more depth about a lot of these topics. Let's get started.
Step number 1, do a good research. You need to find out which country, which place suits your lifestyle. How to do the research? Nowadays, it's everywhere, from Google, from YouTube, until Facebook expat groups. And you can also travel to the place you like. Then talk to the locals, talk to the expats who already live there for years.
Cost of living. Once you get to the place that you've decided, you have to figure out how much is it going to cost you to live there every month. Things you need to consider are going to be things like rent, your food. Are you going to have transportation? You're going to have your own car and need to pay gas and insurance. You also need to think about things like medical care. Are you going to have medical insurance? Something else you need to consider. What if there's an emergency back home? Do you have tickets to fly home in a moment's notice? These are all things you have to consider when moving to a country.
Next step is to find out the visa information. How long you can be there for as a tourist visa or work visa, etc. If you want to be a resident there, what's the requirements? Of course, you can do it by yourself, or we highly suggest you work with some experts to save your time.
One thing everybody needs to consider when they're leaving the country and moving abroad is you have to get a passport. Now, you can go to a post office or maybe a local consulate or embassy to get your passport. Also, how much is it going to cost you to get that passport and how fast is it? Are you going to get it expedited, which you can probably get it in about a month, or just do the normal process, which could take 2 months or even longer? Now, if you own a house back where you're coming from, you have to consider what to do with your house. Most people will probably just sell it and take the money and use it when they get to the new country. But another thing you may want to consider is renting a house. This way you get a monthly stream of income that you can use in your new country. So, what will you do with your house? What to do with your car? Well, if you're coming to a place like Mexico or Central or South America, you may consider driving your car. But there are requirements to bring the car with you. Are you going to be here on a temporary residency or just be a tourist? And how long can you keep the car here before you have to take it back and get a new permit? Or you can just sell the car and buy a new car here in Mexico or anywhere you decide to leave. If you travel over the seas, you definitely need to consider either storing your car or buying a new car in your new location.
The big thing you have to consider are all your belongings. What are you going to do with them? Are you going to take them all to the new country? Or are you going to leave them all here in the US? Or you take some, leave some. There are some things to consider. If you have kids, the one big thing to consider is school. Are they young kids or elder kids? Are you going to send them to international schools or public schools? If you have a little one, do they have good daycare and preschools? How to find those informations? Go to the local expat group on Facebook and you will find those information from other parents and find out how much those schools cost. If you think today's video is valuable, please give us a thumb up.
And also leave a comment. Why would you leave the US?
Or stay in the US.
Let's get back to the video. Once you arrive in your new location, it's best to probably get an Airbnb or a hotel, so you can try different parts of the city before you decide to rent or possibly buy. And you should consider maybe staying in each part of the city between maybe 1 to 2 weeks to get a true sense of what it feels like to live in that part.
If you have pets, you have to consider those requirements. Talk to the airline. Do they have some strict requirements from the breeds to health records? It's very important.
This discussions you may have when you decide to leave is talking to your family, because there's going to be a whole bunch of emotions going on in their heads. So at first they're probably going to be a little bit shocked and possibly even sad. Hopefully once you've had the conversation and they understand your reasons for leaving, they'll be happy for you. But it is going to be one of the most important talks you will have before you leave. One positive aspect of you moving abroad is that you will be able to spend more quality of time when your family comes to visit you or you go back home. It'll make those moments a lot more precious. Once you arrive in your new country, what will you do for work? Well, for some, It's easy. Their company actually sends them to the new country to work. For everybody else, what will you do? Well, if you're fortunate, you can have multiple streams of income to make your life much easier, and you can do what you enjoy, whether it's finding a new hobby or getting a job you enjoy. For everybody else, what kind of work will you do? Will it be a remote job, or will you become a digital nomad? And will you work in the new country, or will you work from a company in your home country? And lastly, you also have retirees. Do you have a pension or Social Security, and how much will that be? Can you afford to live in that country off of that money?
Next very important thing is the money for moving. How much do you need to fly there? How many tickets you have to buy? What about the return tickets if you don't like the place or any emergency happen back home? Do you have enough money to cover the first several months? Let's say 6 months cost of living in that place. Normally we have 6 months of money put on the side called cushion money. Do you have that saved? Health records. You may not consider that part, but once you go to the new country, you go to the doctor, they may ask you for your health records, especially for those kids or the vaccine records, health records. It's something we forgot. When we moved to Mexico, we asked the pediatrician to take care of our kids, and they ask for their health records. Now we have to call the pediatrician back in Houston. It takes time, to get all the email here. So don't forget to get health records for you, your kids, your family, and also your pets.
Now, one thing you cannot forget are taxes. When you arrive in your new country, are you going to work for a company in that country, and will you have to pay the taxes for that country? And what is the tax system like? Or will you have to pay taxes back home? Where is your income coming from? And what kind of write-offs and deductions can you get once you arrive? Talk to a tax professional. It'll definitely be worth your while. Now that we've finished our list of how to leave the USA quickly, what do you think? Did we leave anything out?
Leave us a comment. If you want to see more content about life with Louie and our life, please check our Facebook page. It's in the description box.
Bye-bye.
Bye.